Did you know that the moon is shrinking? Yes, you heard that right. The moon, our closest celestial neighbor, is getting smaller and smaller over time, causing landslides and instability in its south pole. This is a fascinating discovery that has implications for the future of human exploration and the scientific understanding of the moon's evolution. In this video, we will answer the question, why is the moon shrinking, and what does it mean for us? We will explore how scientists discovered this phenomenon, what evidence they have, and what challenges and opportunities it poses for the upcoming missions to the lunar South Pole. If you are curious about the moon and its secrets, then stay tuned and watch this video till the end. The first question we need to ask is, what causes the moon to shrink? The answer is twofold: the cooling of the moon's interior and the tidal forces exerted by Earth. Let's look at each of these factors in more detail. The moon, like any other celestial body, was once very hot when it formed about 4.5 billion years ago. Since then, it has been gradually cooling down and losing heat to space. As the moon cools, it contracts or shrinks in size. This is similar to how a balloon shrinks when you let the air out of it. This shrinking is estimated to be about 150 meters over the last several hundred million years, which may not seem like much, but it is enough to cause significant changes on the lunar surface. The second factor that causes the shrink is the tidal forces from Earth. As the moon orbits around Earth, Earth's gravity pulls on its near side and far side differently. This creates a bulge on its surface, which changes as it rotates and orbits. These rotations and orbits are not perfectly synchronized, meaning that the moon's bulge is constantly shifting and adjusting to Earth's pull. This causes stress and strain on the moon's crust, which also contributes to the moon's shrinking. The combination of these two factors, the cooling of the moon's interior and the tidal forces from Earth, results in global contraction and fault formation on the moon. A fault is a fracture or a crack in the rock where movement occurs. These faults are mostly thrust faults, where one block of rock is pushed up and over another block. They can be seen as scarps or cliffs on the lunar surface, some of which are tens of kilometers long and hundreds of meters high. They are evidence of the moon's shrinking and the deformation of its crust. The next question we need to ask is, what are the effects of the moon's shrinking? The answer is moonquakes and landslides. Let's see how these phenomena occur and how they affect the lunar surface and environment. Moonquakes are earthquakes that happen on the moon. They are caused by the movement of the faults on the moon, as well as the tidal forces from Earth. They can be detected by seismometers, which are instruments that measure the vibrations of the ground. The first seismometers were placed on the moon by the Apollo astronauts between 1969 and 1972, and they recorded over 28,000 moonquakes until 1977, when they stopped working. Some of these moonquakes were very strong, with magnitudes up to 5.5 on the Richter scale, which is comparable to some of the earthquakes that happen on Earth. Landslides are the movement of rock and soil down a slope. They are caused by the gravity and the instability of the slope. They can be triggered by various factors, such as rain, snow, wind, erosion, and earthquakes. On the moon, landslides are mainly caused by moonquakes and the faults on the moon. We can observe them by cameras and satellites, which can capture the changes in the lunar terrain. Some of the landslides on the moon are very large, covering areas of several square kilometers and leaving behind trails of debris and dust. Both moonquakes and landslides caused by the moon's shrinking are of scientific interest, as they reveal the dynamic nature of the lunar surface. They also provide clues about the moon's interior structure, composition, and thermal evolution. By studying the moonquakes and landslides, we can learn more about the moon's past and present, and how it differs from Earth and other planets. The final thing we need to talk about is, what are the implications of the moon's shrinking for future human missions? The answer is, there are some challenges and opportunities. Let's explore how the moon's shrinking can affect the safety and the scientific objectives of the crewed exploration of the moon. One of the challenges posed by the moon's shrinking is the potential danger to the human landing sites and habitats. Some of the faults on the moon are located near or within the areas that NASA proposed for crewed Artemis 3 landings, which are planned to take place in the 2020s. These faults could pose a risk of moonquakes, landslides, and rockfalls, which could damage the spacecraft, the equipment, and the astronauts. Therefore, it is important to map and monitor the faults and the seismic activity on the moon, and to choose the landing sites and habitats carefully, taking into account the geological hazards and the environmental conditions. One of the opportunities offered by the moon's shrinking is the scientific potential to study the moon's history and evolution. Both faults and the landslides on the moon expose fresh and diverse rocks and materials, which could be sampled and analyzed by the human and robotic explorers. These samples could provide valuable information about the moon's origin, formation, and differentiation, as well as the interactions between the moon and Earth, the sun, and other celestial bodies. By studying the moon's shrinking, we can also gain insights into the processes and phenomena that shape other rocky worlds, such as Mercury, Mars, and some of the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. In this video, we have learned that the moon is shrinking, causing landslides and instability in the lunar south pole. We have explained how and why the moon is shrinking, what it reveals about the moon's history and future, and how it can affect the planned human missions to the moon. We have seen that the moon's shrinking is a fascinating discovery that has implications for science and exploration. We hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to share them below. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.